Starry Studio recently revealed their 2025 roadmap, including an announcement for the ability to host custom servers. Now, this feature is expected to be released in the first half of 2025, and it will be released in 2 iterations. The first iteration, they say, will allow hosts to control the scenario difficulty with various parameters, while the second iteration will apparently allow hosts to customize everything from tasks to storylines to enemies to loot. Also, if you did miss the 2025 roadmap announcement, I did make a recap video for it that I will link in the top right as well as in the description, so feel free to check that out to catch yourself up. Also, by the way, the gameplay that you're watching right now obviously isn't related to custom servers because those aren't out yet, so I can't record any gameplay for those, so hopefully you enjoy the gameplay that I put together for the background right here. Now, there isn't much known about how custom servers will exactly work yet and how granular the settings will be, since the only information that we have on them right now is what I mentioned earlier. But in this video, I want to cover basically a wish list of some ideas that I think would be great to see available in custom servers. But if there's anything that you think would be a good idea that I don't mention in this video, definitely drop a comment down below so I can pass that over to Starry Studio. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, first things first, I would love to be able to control the length of the scenario. The developers did mention that they want these custom servers to allow players to create unique and new scenarios. So personally, I would love the ability to create a permanent scenario, or at the very least, be able to have scenarios longer than Manibus. And a big piece of feedback from my Discord, which by the way is linked down in the description below if you're interested in joining, is that people want a permanent scenario or just a longer scenario just so that they don't have to end up kind of starting over every time they go to a new server. So I would love to be able to create a community server for my Discord so that people didn't have to worry about switching to a new server. Now, obviously, there would be potentially some trade-offs with that, right? Where if the developers release some new features, perhaps these custom servers, if you chose to have something that was permanent or a longer scenario, might not get these new features. So there obviously might be a little bit of give and take if you do want something that is a bit more permanent. Now, obviously, none of that is confirmed, but I'm just kind of thinking that's how they might handle it if they were to give that option to people. Also, I am curious to know what types of rules can we set for players that join the server. Will it be possible to have items unlocked for each player, like starting loadouts or blueprints, furniture items, and anything that isn't a paid item? Can we actually have that set to be automatically unlocked when a player joins the server? Even unlocking the entire mimetic tree or just parts of it would be really cool. I know I've joined custom servers on other survival games before, and some of them give you items right away or unlock things for you automatically. And on a similar note, I would love to be able to control the multipliers and rates for the server. So for example, XP and resource multipliers would be really cool so that people could get XP and resources a lot quicker or potentially a lot slower if you wanted to. Also adjusting crafting time rates, hunger and thirst rates, temperature rates, just really having full control over all that sort of stuff. And obviously things like loot spawn rates and even controlling the loot table so you can create high loot areas on the map that will attract a lot of players and potentially toggling those areas for PvP. And I would also love to be able to control the costs of things, like even teleportation costs. Even though teleportation towers aren't expensive, it could be cool to just make them free so people don't need to worry about spending energy links for them, or even just having one of them be free so it kind of acts as like a central hub area and maybe entices more people to go there to check out certain things just because it is free to teleport there. Also, potentially getting rid of the cooldown for your own base teleportation so you can teleport to your base whenever you would like to. And now let's talk about the map. So I don't think we're going to be able to get the ability to customize the map itself, like certain buildings or being able to edit certain assets on the map. I think we would basically need access to like an engine editor to be able to do that sort of stuff, which I know other games have provided, but I don't think that's in the plans for these sort of custom servers. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that's in the works right now. But I would like to be able to control the map size at least, released in these custom servers. I know a lot of players, including myself, would love to see the Way of Winter map and the Manibus map combined in a single scenario, and from the recent dev Q&A that I recapped in a previous video, the devs have said that this is a plan at some point. We aren't entirely sure when this would be coming, but I would love to see this in custom servers or have the option to do so. Now, we haven't been able to explore the west side of the map yet, West Nowcott, I guess it would be called, so I imagine that will be coming later in the year, but once it does, I have to imagine that a scenario with the entire map unlocked is in the plans, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, I would like to be able to also control things like world events, like having certain enemy raids on the map where players have to come together and defend a specific area. I think that could be a lot of fun. Also adding things like custom waypoints. So for example, if maybe a lot of people got together and put a bunch of their vending machines in a specific area, maybe you could even just build a single custom waypoint and say, hey, this is this kind of central hub area where people can come together and sell things, or maybe just having more customization over the icons that everyone can see on the map. And I would also like to be able to control the weather on the map. So whether that is the entire map having the same weather pattern, or maybe you could select specific areas to have certain weather events, I think it could just be really cool to control the weather across the custom server. Also, as someone who isn't a PvP player, I still really like the idea of factions, so I would love to be able to have the ability to set up the Rosetta and Mayfly factions, but have custom rules. So perhaps having those factions, but not having them be PvP based, but still have some other benefits, like maybe Rosetta faction gets a buff in a specific area so that they get more resources when they mine or they log or things like that. Also, potentially having the ability to create custom factions could be really cool as well, but I'm not going to get my hopes up on that. I think the kind of easier solution would just be to implement the factions they've already had in Prismverse, but I would just love to be able to kind of have PvE factions essentially in a custom server. Now, depending on the amount of freedom that they give us, and I know I've mentioned a few ideas in today's video that are pretty ambitious, but I also think I've mentioned some things that are pretty feasible, there are still some questions that I think are worth mentioning. Now, can we use existing characters on custom servers, or will we need to start a fresh character? Can you transfer your character from a custom server to an official one? And if you do, are there certain conditions that apply? Also, how will updates work? I kind of mentioned this earlier. Do custom servers not get updates other than quality of life ones? Do they not even get quality of life updates? Really curious to see how they handle this for custom servers. And of course, what will the cost be for these custom servers? Is it something we'll end up having to pay for? I imagine so. I can't imagine that Star Studio is going to foot the bill for custom servers, but what does that pricing structure look like? Is it fair? How often do you pay? Is it monthly, like I know a lot of servers are, or is it based on scenarios? You know, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, so I'm curious to see the details on that. Now, there's probably a ton of ideas that I did not cover in today's video, and if you have any awesome ideas for custom servers, definitely drop a comment down below and I can help pass that over to Starry Studio, or feel free to join our Discord channel. We got a few thousand people in there. I would love to hear you share your ideas in the community over there. And of course, if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel. And yes, if you are curious about this, I do plan on starting a community custom server. So once all the details for custom servers come out, I will definitely be setting one up for our Discord community. So feel free to join that if you're interested. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Take care.